Welcome back to Artificial Intelligence, the podcast where we fight for the creativity and education in an AI-driven world. I'm your host, Olisa and Henrietta.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Henrietta Wright. But today, I step into my alter ego, Tyranny, sexy defender of culture and creator of hidden truths.
Because today, we're talking about the invisible layer of force, the team of everyday educators, artists, and innovators who guard what machines cannot see: reflection, care, cultural accuracy, and human intent. Every superhero team begins with a moment of crisis. Ours came when AI entered the classroom and the studio, promising speed but erasing depth. Students stopped wrestling with ideas because ChatGPT handed them polished answers. Collectors asked artists if AI could produce the same results, faster and cheaper.
And that was definitely a wake-up call. Because beneath every artwork and every lesson plan are invisible layers. The research, the revisions, the emotional labor, the cultural knowledge. AI can copy the surface, but it cannot carry those layers forward. That's when the invisible layer force was born.
And that's where we, the heroes, assemble. I'm the reflector. My powers create reflective shields, slowing down the rush of AI answers so students can see themselves in the process. I help them question, critique, and connect the dots between what the algorithm says and what they live experience tell them.
I like the idea of being a hero. So I'm a cultural vision. My gift is seeing the heritage behind every color, every pattern, every symbol. When AI slaps together imagery without context, I can reveal the inaccuracies and restore authenticity. I protect culture from being flattened into templates.
And that's how our powers are activated.
Yes.
But we're not alone. The invisible layer force is global. Every teacher who mentors instead of automates, every artist who insists on cultural respect, every policymaker who writes protection for originality, they are part of the team.
And it's like for every good and bad, evil, every force needs a villain. Ours is default AI. It's sleek, it's fast, and it looks helpful. But its true power is deception. Default AI generates in seconds, but it copies without conscience.
Exactly. Default AI thrives on people not being creative and probably uninspired. It convinced people that speed equals value, that if something looks polished, it must be meaningful. But underneath, it erases the struggle, the reflection, and the culture that gives work its weight.
That's danger, danger. When society begins to believe that the labor of the artist doesn't matter, then the mentorship and cultural memory aren't worth paying for. Sadly, AI doesn't just flatten knowledge, it cheapens humanity.
Let me give you an example from the classroom battlefield. A student once handed in a flawless AI written essay, but when I asked them to explain their thinking, they froze. There was no reflection, no ownership. I raised my reflector shield and turned the AI speed into a teaching moment, guiding them back to their own voice.
In the art world, I faced the same fight. A client wanted a commission piece. They showed me an AI-generated version of what they wanted, something quick, flashy, and just all raw. It had patterns from one culture pasted onto another. I had to use my cultural vision to correct it, researching and restoring the accuracy. That's an invisible layer of force, but it's also irreplaceable.
Now, that's a good battle we're fighting. But here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about one classroom or one gallery. It's about nations. States are deciding right now whether to invest in human-centered education and art or to let AI system dictate learning and creativity.
And globally, the stakes are high. Without protections, AI will become a new form of colonization. Let's call it digital colonization, if you will. Flattening cultural traditions into data points and replacing mentorship with automation. The invisible layer of force has to fight not just for individuals, but for humanity's collective story.
Now then, the first battle was in classrooms and studios, but the second battle takes place in the marketplace, the space where value is measured in dollars, likes, and downloads. And here, default AI will attempt its strongest move, convincing the world that human labor isn't worth the cost.
Oh, yes. And I felt this battle as well personally. When my art was compared to AI generated pieces, a client had the nerve to ask why they should pay me when a machine could do it for free. That moment felt like a villain's trap, a devaluation of invisible layer force. They didn't see the research, the labor, the edits, or even the cultural integrity. All they saw was speed.
No way. In the education, it's the same. Administrators look at the budget and ask if AI can replace hours of teaching or lesson planning. But that ignores the invisible force of mentorship, the emotional intelligence required to guide a student, the community trust built in classroom. That's not a line item. That's human infrastructure.
Infrastructure indeed. So the second battle is about teaching society to value authenticity, to see that AI may deliver output, but it cannot deliver ownership, accountability, or originality. If we lose here, we risk a future where culture is treated as disposable and education is reduced to automation.
Which is why the invisible layer force fights on two fronts, not only protecting the creation of art and knowledge, but also reshaping how the world values them. Because without fair recognition, without investment in human labor, the future will belong to default AI.
And that's not a future we can afford.
So that's why collaboration is our real superpower. Educators, artists, and scientists working together to shape AI ethically. Policymakers funding art and mentorship like they fund roads in hospitals. Communities valuing originality, not just efficiency.
And that is so true. If we want AI to serve humanity, not erase it, we need every shade, every story, every invisible layer represented. This isn't one nation's fight, it's global.
At the end of the day, our superpower is authentic. It's the invisible layer of reflection, heritage, and care that holds society together.
And as long as we keep naming, protecting, and valuing those invisible layers, default AI does not win.
It can't win because the real heroes aren't algorithms. They're the educators, artists, and innovators who insist on depth in the shallow age.
And that is official.